Hi everyone, it's Matt from The Pen Habit. Thank you for joining us for another pen review. And today we are talking about a pen from Kaweco. Now, Kaweco is a German company and one whose pens I have never used before. But they reached out to me a couple of months ago and asked me if I'd be interested in reviewing some of their pens. And they sent me a whole bunch of pens to review. And this is one of them. So first of all, big thank you to Kaweco for allowing me to review their pens and sending them to me. Today's pen is the Kaweco All Sport Stonewash. And the reason why it's called the Stonewash is it has been pre-distressed, like Stonewash jeans. I've seen these pens around a lot. I've seen a lot of reviews for them. They've never really interested me all that much from a distance. And the reason for that, there's a couple reasons. First of all, I like shiny pens. So for instance, shiny beat up. I also am not a huge fan of small pens, and this is a fairly small pen. So let's start with the stats on this. In terms of the pen, it is 14 grams uncapped and 22 grams capped. So it's a nice mid-weight pen, and the reason for that weight is the pen is made out of aluminum, which is why it's called the All Sport, A-L Sport. But it's small. Capped, it's 105.4 millimeters. It's 100.3 millimeters uncapped. So for me, too small to use without posting. Posted, it's a very reasonable 131 and quite comfortable to use posted. This is a pen that's really designed to be used posted. Along those lines, one of the things that makes this pen so nice is because it's designed to be used posted and it's pre-beat up, you don't have to worry about the posting, the act of posting your pen, scratching or anything like that. It's already scratched. It's going to look just like it belongs. So that's good. In terms of the grip, it's a little narrower than I generally like, but I don't find it particularly uncomfortable. So it's 9.4 millimeters in the middle of the grip. The barrel, you're looking at 11.8, and the cap, you're looking at 14.2. And when it's posted, I actually hold it right either on the threads or slightly above the threads, depending on how I'm writing on the day. On the threads, they're not sharp at all. They're well sanded down, so you don't have to worry about that feeling sharp at all. This pen feels really solid. I mean, you can hear that. It's got a real solid feel to it. I like it quite a bit. And because it's made out of aluminum, and it feels like it was, carved out of a solid block of aluminum, which I suspect it probably was at some point. It's got that really solid metal feel. And I have to admit, while at first I wasn't real thrilled about the idea of a pre-distressed pen, there is something really freeing about this, the way this looks. It just, like, you can throw this pen in a purse or in your backpack and not have to worry about it getting dinged up in a way that I would never throw this pen in a purse or a backpack. I never throw this pen in a purse because, it doesn't match any of my purses. But so the pre-distressed Stonewash thing, I actually really like a lot. Now, the pen doesn't come with a clip. You can buy a standalone clip separate. I believe they're $5. And they come in both gold and silver, I believe. Top of the pen has the Kaweco logo. Nice, I think it's octagonal. Yeah, octagonal, so it won't roll around on the desk easily. And then you've got a slight indent here at the end to assist with posting. So, all in all, I have to say I was actually surprised at how much I liked this pen. I wasn't expecting to, frankly. So let me go ahead and give you a quick writing sample, show you how it writes, and then we'll wrap up. So here we go. The pen is a Kaweco All Sport Stonewash. This is a fine, and very smooth. Probably one of the smoothest fines I've ever used. Now, I will say that even though Kaweco is a German company, I find their nibs to run a little narrower than the traditional Western style nibs. So if you're going to compare this to a Mont Blanc fine or an Edison fine, you might find that the Kaweco runs a little narrower than any of those. It runs a lot narrower than a Pelican fine, for instance, which writes like a standard Western medium. So if you're looking for a fine nib, something that falls in between the traditional Western style fine and extra fine, you might consider a Kaweco fine nib. The nib is steel on this pen. The ink is Kaweco red. And there's a color in front of it, but I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I'll put it right down here, but it's Kaweco red. The other thing before I go on, I should mention about this pen. These sports and all sports on the Kawecos are really meant to be used only with the short standard international converter or cartridges. Kaweco, I don't believe, makes a converter for these pens. I have heard that you can use, like Monteverde has a mini converter that you can use. But if you're going to get one of these, I would just suggest you use the cartridges. And if you want to use your own ink, refill the cartridges when you're done with them. It's just easier and you're going to get more ink out of them. Kaweco was nice enough to send me cartridges with the pen. And the pen comes with one blue cartridge, but they sent me some extra ones to play around with as well. So this is the Kaweco red cartridge. And we're on a Rhodia dot pad, as is always the case. Okay, so our quote for today. Okay, boy, isn't that the truth? All right, so as I mentioned, this is a really smooth, fine nib, one of the smoothest I've ever used. It's also a fairly dry nib, and you can see here if I run the witness test, it's actually pretty dry, probably a little drier than I would personally like. If you're looking for a fine line, though, that's not going to bleed through cheap paper, this is probably a little bit more appropriate for that. I'm fortunate enough that I'm able to use pretty high quality paper at work and everywhere I go because I work in the computer industry and we don't use paper. So any paper that gets used is paper I bring. But if you're in school doing those awful test composition notebooks, things like that, this might be a good pen for you. Besides the fact that it's so small, it's dry enough. It's dry enough that it shouldn't bleed through the pages, and it's still smooth despite the fact that it's dry, which is a good thing. It really does a nice job of writing. It doesn't have a lot of give to the nib, so you can coax a little line variation out of it, but not very much. Like many steel nibs, it's not meant for that. I've not had any problems with it, with hard starts or skipping, anything along those lines. It really has done an admirable job all the way around. I haven't done a lot of long form writing with it, several pages, but so far I haven't had any problems with ink starvation or anything along those lines. So I have to say I am suitably impressed by the nib on this pen. I wasn't expecting to. It is a fairly small nib. So if you're one of those people who really likes big nibs on their pens, just be aware. I mean, you can see, I'll pull up my Omaso Jiva again for comparison, which isn't really a fair comparison, but if you look at the size of the nibs side by side, you can see it's a fairly small nib. I'm surprised. I have to admit, I'm surprised. I like this pen. It's got a really nice, solid feel to it without being heavy. I think aluminum really is the perfect choice of material for a pen like this. And the Stonewash finish, I have to hand it to Kaweco. Getting this in my hand totally changed my opinion of the Stonewash finish. I actually like it. And I just recently took this pen out to the grocery store. Just stuck it in my pocket, worked out really well that way. And all in all, I've been pretty impressed with this little thing. Comes in the little Kaweco tin, which is neat. And yeah, Kaweco Allsport, nice pen. Believe it retails for around $80 US. And the fine nib anyway is very smooth, a little on the dry side, but very smooth, writes well, no problems. So that will do it for me for the Kaweco Allsport. If you have any questions or comments, please head over, as always, to penhabit.com. And link for that is down in the description below. You can join the conversation over there, like and share the video, etc., etc. And we will see you here next time on the Pen Habit. Bye. Put 'em up.